with the beautiful girl that I met made in Japan. The beauty of her face was beyond my wildest dreams.
First, let's talk about Figma. Figma is a cloud-based design software used to create wireframes, user interface or UI/UX design for apps and websites, prototypes, and even social media set. This vector-based application was founded by Dylan Feld and Evan Wallace in May 2012, but the public version was only officially released at the end of 2016. Interestingly, because it's cloud-based, Figma can be accessed remotely on Windows, Mac OS, and even directly from your browser. So, who uses Figma? This software is friendly for UI/UX designers who want to work practically, graphic creators who need flexibility, product development teams, and even startup enthusiasts who want to save time and cost when designing their digital products. Create a new design file. First, draft. Create new design file. Ta-da! Tour the interface. Have 4. First, tools. Move hand tool and rectangle line, pen, pencil, text box, comment, actions menu. Have all, assets, plugins, and widgets. Action menu versus action menu with AI. Live sidebar navigation panel. Have layers, page, assets. You can rename this personal portfolio. Layers have frame. Frame has rectangle 1 and 2. You can assets and you can use template for frame. Right sidebar properties panel. Have designed. You can custom the color. Have local styles and variables. Example, we have a square. You can adjust and horizontal and vertical, and we have text box and a square. Move tool, you can use V in your keyboard and hold space and drag canvas. You can like this. Hand tool, H in your keyboard. You can zoom in and zoom out like this. In Windows, Control Scroll. Page, we have overview, timelines, explorations, components, inspo, and archive. Timeline is track each stage of the design process. Explorations is explore different layouts. Component is organize components. Inspo is keep ideas for inspiration. Archive is archive older designs. You can add new page like this and change the name. For main areas, have a toolbar, left sidebar, right sidebar, and canvas. Before moving on, Name your file, add 2 additional pages, and enable properties labels. Create the case study page. In this lesson, build the elements for a case study page. Case study overview. Highlight the problem, shows your approach to solve it, reveals the result, and demonstrates skills and expertise. We will want to include these different elements. A hero with bold text and an image background to set the context for the page. A text heading to break the page out into different sections. Paragraph text to describe different aspects of the project and how we contribute to its success. An image that allows us to showcase final assets, illustrate works in progress, or other visuals and research. And a feature text block where we can include a quote, insight from a project, or testimonial from a client or collaborator. Select the frame tool, then open the desktop section in the right sidebar. Select the desktop frame preset to add a new frame to the canvas. Then, we'll rename our new frame to Case Study Exploration. Select the text tool and click into the case study frame. Because we clicked directly into the frame, notice in the layer section how Figma added the text inside of the frame. Type a placeholder text for the heading. Click anywhere on the canvas to stop editing the text content. Set the font size to 28, font weight to bold, and line height to 38. Since we're creating lots of layers for our case study page, let's rename these two section heading so we can find it in the layers panel. Click the canvas or press Escape to deselect the text layer. Then select the text tool, click and drag to create a text box about 2/3 the size of the frame. Then, let's type out a few paragraphs of the full text. Notice how Figma remembered the typography properties from the previously created text layer. Update the font size to 20, the font weight to medium, and text resizing to auto height. Well, keep the line height at 38. Open the type settings menu and find paragraph spacing, then update the value to 24. Let's set the width to 1000 to make sure we don't cause reading Figma by placing too many or too few words on a single line. Lastly, rename these to paragraph text. Select the text tool and draw a text block. Well, make it about the same width as the paragraph text. Then increase the font size to 24. Emphasize the text using medium italic and update the text resizing to auto height. Keep line height at 38 and paragraph spacing at 24. We'll name this layer quote. We want this quote to stand out more and act as a break between our paragraph text. So let's resize it width to 570 and set its horizontal text element to align center. Text alignment determines how text content is distributed within its bounding box. You can set text alignment on the horizontal or vertical axis from the typography section of the right sidebar. For horizontal text alignment, you have option to align the text to the left, center, or right. You can also justify text from the type settings. with vertical alignment, you can align text to the top, middle, or bottom of the text layer's bounding box. Moving on to the image, select the rectangle tool from the toolbar or press R and draw a rectangle at any size. To keep the image consistent with the size of our text box, set the width to 1000. The height of our final image may change, but for now, we'll set this to 562, so it's close to the common 16:9 aspect ratio. In the fill section, open the color picker and select image at the top. The fill change to a gray and white checkerboard pattern that indicates an image placeholder. Later, we'll be able to double-click on the fill to upload an image from our computer. We'll rename this layer image. Before we move on to our final element, the hero, let's select all the elements and move them down at least 400 pixels to create some working space for ourselves. You can check how far the layers are from the edge of the frame by pressing the keyboard shortcut for measuring distance. Create a text layer and type a default title. So let's increase the font size to 76, the font weight to bold, and line height to auto. When you set line height to auto, Figma will use the default line height set by the font. This means line height may vary per font. We'll also set the text alignment to align center. Lastly, let's center the text on the frame. Go to the position section of the right sidebar and select Align Horizontal Centers. We can also drag the text layer until we see a red line appear in the center, which indicates that it's in the center of the frame. We could create a rectangle shape with an image fill, then place it in a frame along with our title text. However, we eventually want the hero to live in a frame to keep things organized and to use Figma feature like auto layout. So, let's keep the rectangle and use a frame with an image fill instead. In the previous lesson, we learned how to draw a frame around exciting layers by clicking and dragging with the frame tool. This time, let's try adding a frame in a different way. Select the title text, then right-click and choose Frame Selection. The text layer just got placed in a new frame. Let's add an image fill to the frame. And make the frame bigger by clicking and dragging the left and right sides of the new frame's bounding box. Resize until the side snaps to the parent frame. Indicated by the red X. To do this, you'll need to have Snap to Objects toggle on in your file preference. Then set the height of the frame to 140. We want the text layer to stay centered when its parent frame resizes. So let's select the text layer to change its constraint settings to center and center. Then let's click Align Horizontal Center and Align Vertical Center to center the text in the frame. Now, when we resize the frame, the text layer will stay centered. Now that we have all of our elements, let's tidy things up a touch. First, rename the hero element to impactful text. Then change the text resizing of the section heading to auto height and set its width to 1000 to match our paragraph text. Now, let's center everything horizontally. Select the top level frame and press enter to select all the elements inside the frame. Press Align Horizontal Centers to center the elements to one another. Now, open the More Action menu in the Position section of the right sidebar and select Distribute Vertical Spacing. This distributes our elements evenly apart on the vertical axis, which allows us to use Smart Selection to quickly rearrange our elements. Smart Selection can be a great tool to help you experiment with different layouts throughout the early phases of the design process. Feel free to play around with Smart Selection using the elements on the case study page, but don't stress too much about perfecting the spacing and layout. We just laid out the elements we need to detail our case studies. We start with a desktop size frame preset, which was used to build our text layers, image block, and hero elements. Along the way, we discover a new way to add a frame using frame selection, and that constraints impact how child layers respond to the raising of their parents' container. Lastly, we divided our layers up and used Smart Selection to arrange and adjust spacing.
Não encontrei ninguém que tenha a beleza dela. Sou do morro, sou favela, mas meu coração se apaixonou por essa Cinderela. Ela é da zona sul, loirinha de olho azul.